Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to be exploring on why conversations turn wrong really quickly. Have you ever tried to explain something to someone and out of nowhere the conversation turned into an argument? Or someone says one sentence and you're already preparing your response, or you notice that somebody else doing that. You are talking to them and you can see that they're not intentionally listening, but they're preparing a response. Sometimes we can feel that. Or maybe they're just talking, but you can feel that they're not listening to what you're saying. One of the biggest misconceptions around communication is that if I speak clearly enough and use the correct words, then the other person must understand me. Unfortunately, most of the time, communication doesn't work like that. Because you might say the exact words, but the other person will interpret it totally differently. And we're going to look at why that happens. But take that as an example. You ask your partner, are you going out today? Or tonight? If they expected criticism with what you're saying, or they had this as a past experience, then they might interpret it as a criticism instead of a simple question. For example, they might interpret this as, oh, she doesn't want me to go out, or she's got an issue with it. So sometimes we're not having an argument with what is being said, but what we are interpreting with what is being said, how we are interpreting it. Why is this happening? What is the psychology behind it? Well, it's because people don't listen with blank minds. We interpret other people, what they say to us through our own experiences, emotions, beliefs. So when you say, are you going out tonight? The other person might hear it through a past experience or a current emotion they might be feeling. So if they're expecting criticism already, then that's what they're going to hear. So two people can hear the same words, same sentences, but interpreted completely differently. And what skills can help us to improve this? Before we react or before we respond, if we use the technique of these 1, 2, 3, then it might help us to avoid an argument significantly. So the first thing is check your interpretation. When somebody says something to you, before you react, check your interpretation. Now, you can say to them, when you say that, I took it as blank. Did you mean that? That's number 1. Number 2 is listen to understand rather than to respond. Because when we do respond just for the sake of responding, the other person can feel that. Okay. And third, clarify before assuming. That's really important, and we all tend to assume and, in fact, believe our assumptions way too much. And there is a saying that don't believe every thought that you have. Don't believe it way too much. Check even your own thoughts. Now, one takeaway from this is that communication is not about never misunderstanding each other, but to recognize the pattern, to recognize where exactly it switches to from misunderstanding to an argument. So it's a prevention technique in here. And if you'd like to work on your communication skills more personally, I now offer a one-to-one communication skills coaching. You'll find the details in the description below. And if you would like to explore this topic in more depth, I've linked the book in the description too. See you in my next video.